Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 126 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co-hosts.
My name is Craig. I come from you from the land of boring white walls and corners. In the process of moving, so next week it will be a completely different background. But for now, you get the boring white walls.
And my name is also Craig. I come for you from the land of where dreams come true, where Santa Claus comes down and brings you the Firefly edition of The Last of Us, or Barry Claus, in case it's not that time of year for Santa Claus. I will not do an unboxing, but
yeah, we did the box art review already.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I could do the unboxing this week on NBA if anybody would like.
There we go.
Jordan
We can do one for NBA. There we go.
Let's get it.
We don't talk about games, movies, or any of that stuff. All we do is talk about NBA 2K23. And as always, the news, because we always talk about the news this week. So,
yes, we do.
Getting into it, for the most part, what I have, and I'll leave like the Disney kind of stuff to you guys, but I paid big attention to the Assassin's Creed preview. Ubisoft did a whole opening thing, and I'm sorry to anybody who enjoys this type of stuff, but like I don't care for the Division 2 at all. Like
I'm surprised they're making stuff for it still.
Yeah, I'm surprised they still support it. Mm-hmm. So pretty much for me, I was only interested in the Assassin's Creed stuff. And for the most part, I'm pretty excited about what I saw. So I'll get the big one out of the way, Assassin's Creed Mirage, which they showed off a trailer for that seems to go back to old Assassin's Creed games. It looks like we are done. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I did like Odyssey, but I can say that I didn't have the most fun with Origins or with Valhalla. Yeah, I beat Valhalla. I spent way too much time in Valhalla, but you know, we're finally starting to see a trailer that goes, okay, we're hearkening back to the old like Assassin's Creed days where they're actually wearing their getup for you know, we haven't seen that in a couple years, and on top of that too, they're deleting their ring finger. And in this one, he seems to have deleted his pinky finger as well. I'm not sure what that's all about. But I am just so excited and relieved to see that and I should just say kind of everything's with an asterisk because we don't know yet because we haven't seen gameplay. But I just hope this brings you back to old Assassin's Creed games. I don't really care for the open world format. You can do it with another series. That's fine with me. But I want to have like my old Assassin's Creed games back. That's primarily what I want. And this gave me Altair, like Assassin's Creed 1 vibes watching it. So I was extremely like just happy with the trailer in general. Yeah, I know you guys probably watched it as well. How do you feel about it?
Go ahead.
Well, it's what put them on the map. You know, it's kind of nice to get back to it. I'm in agreement with you on the amount of Valhalla that I played, and while they did not only create a 100 to 120 hour initial game, but with all the content they released after it, it was a long game. And if you bought it and stuck with the DLC, it was nice. Odyssey, you know, like there's all these different renditions, but it's always kind of nice just to see them go back to what put them on the map, what made us all, it was back when everybody played Assassin's Creed, not just I'm going to select this one, I'm going to select this one. You know, I know in prior weeks I mentioned how Black Flag is my jam, even in in renditions where they tried something a little different, you still maintain the Assassin's Creed look of it. So the trailer was nice. I got chills when I saw him actually like cut his fingers off. It was really funny seeing that blade, just kind of like just that heated blade. I'm excited for it. And 2023, I don't even need to see gameplay to be really thrilled.
Yeah, I've still to this day have not finished a single Assassin's Creed game ever. But the farthest I've ever gotten was like the first 3. right? That's the ones I spent the most time with. So I'm 100% on board with the older style. I just think Ubisoft has so many open world games. Assassin's Creed does not need to be one of them. If you want open world, you still have The Division, you still have Ghost Recon out there, Far Cry. There's just like every game they make is open world. I don't need Assassin's Creed to be this massive 100-hour experience. Like you can tone it down
Mhm.
and give me a tight story, and I'm all in. Will I finish it? Who knows? But like I'm definitely more excited than I have been in years for an Assassin's Creed game. But also with Mirage, I don't know if it's a mess up or whatever, but did you guys see the rating on Assassin's
Oh
Creed
no,
Mirage?
I didn't know there was a rating
I
for
missed
it. I
that.
didn't see that.
So it's like the pre-order stuff went up, and the rating on it as of right now is adult only. And underneath it says it has real gambling,
Hmm.
which is not a good thing at all.
Yeah.
But I don't. People are kind of like, is this a mess up or what is actually in this game that would constitute as real gambling? Because that wouldn't be like loot boxes. This would be something you're
No.
actually putting money in. So I don't know. As far as I know, last I checked before we started recording, I haven't seen like an answer as to why it has this rating or if it was a mess up. I just thought it was kind of interesting that it's on there right now as an AO game, which that never happens ever.
Yeah, that is
No.
strange. I'll have to take a look at that too. I hope
Because
it's
that
not
would ruin
too.
everything, right? Like that would
w-
ruin the hype.
Yeah.
I just don't get how you work gambling into it. Is it like, am I gonna put money down on whether or not my assassin kills the target? Is that
I
what
don't
this
know.
is? And if I'm right, do I get like some real money out of it? Do I get
Yeah,
$100 for my $5 bet?
Yeah. How is it executed?
I
And
don't
when's
know.
the last time you guys even seen an AO game? Like,
Not very often
just-
because it's a
yeah.
death sentence for your game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
Is
can't
there
sell it
like
in stores.
is
Yeah.
there
You
like an over
marginalize
under for
your
time to
audience.
kill?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to assume that it's some sort of mess up, right?
Yeah,
Or it's something in the loot box system that they're going to have to change. Maybe it's just extremely predatory,
maybe.
and
Yeah.
and that's why. But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that kind of popped up.
Yeah, and then on top of the Assassin's Creed Mirage stuff, we got some code names for their other works. We have Assassin's Creed Red, which looks to be a Japan samurai type game. Only a matter of time before that was going to happen.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Jade, which looks like it's going. Jade usually is associated with the color of like 18th century China, so I'm
Mhm.
all okay for that as well. And
Yep.
then the last one, and I think kind of the most interesting one I thought was Hex, which seems to be taking place during like the witch trials, and aims to be maybe one of like the scary. Like it's a there are talkings about this game where it's supposed to be said to be the scariest Assassin's Creed game. Maybe it's taking a dip into the horror
Wh-
portion of things.
What's it
Yeah.
what's it running against in terms of it's the scariest one of them all. Like,
Yeah.
what's the other scariest Assassin's Creed
They're
game?
just trying to point out there that it's going to be horror related, I guess.
Yeah, there it is.
But out of the three, are you guys excited for any one more particularly than the other?
Um, I mean, I think the idea of ninja type in Assassin's Creed has been something that everybody has said for a long time, but I don't know that. I mean, to me, Mirage sounds the coolest, but I'm not. Again,
Mhm.
like I'm not overly hyped for any of these, really.
I could be excited for a Samurai one as well.
Mhm.
How do they execute it is the question that I have, and can they compare with some of the other, I guess, works that have been able to really nail the samurai vibe in particular? If they're dipping horror into it, sure, there's enough horror games out, and there's enough B horror games out that we've all seen or not played. I want to see what Assassin's Creed does with it. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's different for them, you know.
yeah, something new.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm most excited for Jade just because there's a lot of history in China, and I really think you could delve deep and do some really good like meeting of famous, people from old China. It doesn't even have to be 18th century. You can do early 16th, 15th century, and you have like a ton of people where you can just make a game with historical figures. And I always liked that part about it. Assassin's Creed, especially the Ezio collection, like with 2, the reason that one was so popular is because you had such like a really like you had an assassin with personality, which was cool, and then on top of that you got to work with, old Italian guy. Oh, here's our version of, Leonardo da Vinci and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So if they can work that into Jade, I think it's got a possibility to, do something that is very, very popular and on the type of leagues with Assassin's Creed 2. But yeah, for the most part, that's it for like the Ubisoft portion of things. What about you guys?
News wise?
Yeah, news wise.
Yeah, I got a couple here I can run through. First one has to do with Stalker 2. Microsoft kind of changed the release date this past week and was offering refunds, kind of hinting towards that this game's not coming out anytime soon. But then you also had later on this week the developers of Stalker 2 saying, basically denying any type of delay at all. So I don't know if there's some sort of miscommunication here. Like, I don't think anybody would blame them for having to delay again. As far as I know, the developers were relocated out of Ukraine, last I heard. So I don't think they're still in Ukraine. But with everything going on over there, like, it's totally understandable that this would get kind of pushed with everything else happening. But
Yeah.
they're, to this point, as of now, they're still denying that it's getting delayed. So who knows?
Yeah, it had a firm release date until everything started happening.
Yep.
And I believe you're right, Craig. I remember seeing something where they did an update specifically on the developers, and this is like months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they did show certain developers and certain people on the team outside of the conflict because they were reflecting on how it's been for the past time there. So
yeah,
we can't. This is one delay or whatever that we can't be mad at. This is like the one delay we can't be mad at.
Yep.
So
I think it's safe to assume that this would probably be, when it comes out, the game with the most propaganda against Russia, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be just full of it. But I'm still looking forward to this game whenever it does come out. If it happens to be maybe not next year or maybe the year after, that's totally fine. We've already been waiting, I feel like 5 years at least now, maybe 10 since the first one came out.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with the Advance Wars, the reboot camp of 1 and 2. Like, that was delayed indefinitely when the war started. You haven't heard anything
Nope.
about this game, and it's because of its relationship to like war and how, tanks, guns, everything like that. So, and it is Nintendo, so they do tend to be more family friendly, and they're not looking to stir up any sort of drama with their release of one of their games. But that game and Stalker 2, like, it's really sad that the precedent that they have right now, just because I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of people, developers and stuff that like put their lives into this game, probably sweat, tears, whatnot. And the fact that they just have to sit there and wait on something, just kind of stinks for everybody. Stalker 2 is one of those, almost like, I want to say Metro Last Light games where it's like a really like cool story based first person shooter where nobody really wants to touch first person shooters unless you're, a battle royale or you're Call of Duty doing multiplayer, because Battlefield's pretty much dead in the water. It seems like we haven't seen Medal of Honor in a while, so a story-based shooter, they're just nice to see. And it's something with Stalker that I thought, for me, I was excited for because I liked the Metro series, and this is something that kind of looked to build its own way into the story first person shooters genre.
I still think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a bit. I don't think it's going to be coming out anytime soon at this point. We also got some rumors about the next BioShock. Rumored that it will have a female lead and that the setting will be Antarctica. That could be cool, I guess.
I mean, yes, depending on how the facility is created.
Right.
Because how do you do better than Rapture? Do you do?
It's better than
Rapture?
water. Frozen water.
That's true. If this was a game of rock, paper, scissors between water types, would frozen water beat liquid water?
It's true. I guess it makes sense to do
How else?
Antarctica.
Yeah, I think what it's probably going to be is Frozen gone wrong. I have a
Oh,
feeling that
okay.
what's her face? It's
Elsa.
Elsa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elsa
Yes.
becomes an evil tyrannical tyrant in Antarctica, and now your plane magically crashes in this castle that no one's ever seen for years, and then you find a whole civilization of stuff. I think I'm right on the money here.
Okay.
I don't think it could
Yeah.
be anything else.
A nice
And what?
Disney tie-in like Kingdom
Yeah,
Hearts.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be Arendelle, but Elsa just froze everybody, and then it's just you're gonna listen to playbacks of clips of people dying because they're freezing to death.
Okay. And
Shout out.
also to tie it in, because it hasn't been tied in yet this week, I would be a nice you know, opposite ends of the spectrum with BioShock over here with the frozen and the ice, and then over on this side we have Scorn with the heat and
Why?
hell and
Why do we do
fire.
this? Why do we do this?
Every week. Tie it
Game of the
in.
year.
I should have
Game
just
of
moved
the
on.
year.
I should have just moved. I should not have made any comments about Frozen with an M rating. Gosh dang
I
it!
think that is that 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. 3. It does, I mean, we
Yeah.
got to get a counter
I
up.
mean, hell hath no fury like a Barry Scorn. You know what I mean?
No.
You really just did that to me, Barry Scorn.
God. Oh man. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
The
Please,
last piece of
please.
news I have is buckle in because we're going on a rant here. So get ready. I
All
want to
right.
talk about Jim Ryan and PlayStation and Call of Duty.
Yep,
Um,
clapping back at each other like a weirdos.
here's what I'm gonna say. Jim Ryan and PlayStation, shut your mouth. It's none of your business, and you don't have any control over it, because he was upset and saying that Microsoft reached out to PlayStation and did say that for the next 2 years that they will honor the contract that PlayStation had with Call of Duty. You will still see Call of Duty on PlayStation for at least the next 2 years. But after that, they kind of left it up in the air. And then on the other end, you have Jim Ryan from PlayStation saying that that's not acceptable. Well, guess what? You didn't buy the company, Microsoft did. They bought Activision, right? So they could pull it now if they wanted to, right? Like probably not Modern Warfare, but the next ones they could have, and it would have been within their right to be like, you know what, Modern Warfare 2 is going to be the last one on PlayStation, and after that, if you want to play Call of Duty, you gotta have an Xbox, which that would be huge with Warzone, right? That would be
Oh my God.
absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I look at it as it was nice on Microsoft's end to reach out to Sony and be like, hey, those 2 years that you guys already had, we're still going to honor that. We're not going to cancel it. We'll allow you to have your exclusives. They have an exclusive with Modern Warfare 2 this year. They're probably going to have one next year or 2 years or whatever the next one is. But yeah, after that, I still don't think Microsoft's going to make it an Xbox only game. I just don't see them doing that.
There's
I
too
don't
much
think
money they make
yeah,
off of
it makes
Yeah.
it makes no financial sense to stick it to one console. But I don't know. It just, the whole Jim Ryan and PlayStation thing being like, that's not fair, just is so ridiculous to me. They would do the same thing if they would have bought Activision. Actually, they probably would have, let's be honest, they probably would have cut it out next year. They'd have been like, you know what, Warzone's not available on Xbox anymore. Sorry. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Do you see a world where Microsoft just makes it a Xbox only game just out of spite for like a year? Just like as soon as that.
I don't know.
I mean, you're right. It makes no financial sense
Right.
to just limit it to just one console. Or it just
Yeah.
it doesn't. Especially because of how much money that franchise brings in from name only. It's the Madden of first person shooters. It's survived bad renditions. It's survived really good games as well. But sometimes I just don't like Sony or just somebody from PlayStation and what they say or what their belief system is. I love the games. This is like, it's like when you grow up and you realize one of those people that you saw as a child on television is actually a piece of crap. Like, you're just like, but I loved their episodes of all the show. It's upsetting. And Microsoft was nice to allow those 2 years to be honored. They don't have to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know why Sony is, well, why in particular, would you say it's Jim Ryan?
Jim Ryan. Yep.
Why in particular he's being like that, especially publicly? Like, kind of
Yeah.
just say that in your conference room by yourself.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah. Do you think, Barry, though, do you think you could see Microsoft saying, all right, so after not Modern Warfare 2, but the next one, do you think they could say Call of Duty will be on Xbox only, but Warzone will be on everything?
Mm.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Like I've, one thing about it is, there's definitely like breach of contract with stuff like that. Like just because
Right.
Blizzard is bought does not mean they are negligent to their to whatever contracts they signed beforehand.
Mhm.
Hence why Xbox came out and said, hey, the next two Call of Duty's fine, whatever. I do think we start to see what we saw in earlier Call of Duties with like maybe some exclusive content, some exclusive skins
Yep.
only coming to Xbox. Probably more like XP boosts, weapon boosts for XP as well, coming to Xbox. Like Call of Duty is synonymous with, like, it in a lot of ways is synonymous with gaming, and because of that, I think Microsoft knows, like, if they were to ever do something like that, you're only like, and I think Microsoft knows they'd be only stirring up the pot more than they probably want to, because you then start to deal with other things like, okay, now we're getting into like exclusive wars
Yep.
where people are going to have to decide what console they want, and
Mm.
Sony officially owns Bungie now.
Yep.
So if you want to try doing a first person shooter off, you can, but
Mhm.
I don't think it's necessarily great for the gaming atmosphere and the health of gaming in general. uh
Right.
I could see them try to leverage stuff. Like last year and the past 2 years, we've saw MLB The Show come to Xbox, and that is because MLB is demanded that it starts to come to Xbox.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Sony said, "All right, it's a game with Sony's branding, and when you start up the game, it shows PlayStation Studios."
Yep.
And I think we'll start to see the same thing where Xbox will come out with their own branding of Xbox Studios. And when you start it up on PlayStation or on any console in general, you will see Xbox Studios a startup, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the same thing where, yeah, MLB doesn't nearly sell as many copies as Call of Duty does, but it is the premier sports baseball game. There is no other baseball games.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
you can say
Correct.
that there's like RBI baseball, but I actually didn't see that this year anywhere. Now
I
that
don't
I
think
think
they made
about it,
it.
so like those games are those games have either died or are dying, and now you only have MLB The Show. So I think we run into those types of things where,
Yeah.
while Blizzard and those studios that make Call of Duty are owned by Xbox, they can still demand that it be released multi-platform, because then if they don't and developers are upset with it, then you have developers going on strike and you
Mhm.
have your
Yeah.
name out there, and who knows what horrible news. I just think like doing that and setting it as a precedent where it'd only be on Xbox is starting a huge like console gaming war that I don't think anybody wants a part of, especially Xbox or
Yeah.
Microsoft Studios.
I mean, they already have the fact that they can sit there and say, you know what, you want to play Call of Duty, it's included with Game Pass. You want to play it on PlayStation, you got
Yeah.
to pay $70,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they
Exactly.
have that. I guess I was, as far as them being like, Warzone is cross platform, but Call of Duty isn't. I guess that would be, everybody always says like Microsoft has no exclusives. That could be a huge exclusive for them,
Oh
right?
my
I
God.
mean,
Yeah.
when you look at Sony, you're like, man, Sony has all the phenomenal exclusives, every single one,
And
right?
Xbox is working on it.
They are, but
They
that
are.
could
They are.
that could be another one that they could, if they wanted to, be like, hey, the premier. See, it's not as popular as it used to be, but one of the premier first-person shooter campaign experiences, which is Call of Duty, is only on Xbox. Like that would be a big win for them, and them still making Warzone cross platform. Warzone's where all the money's made anyway, right? Like they make billions of dollars in Warzone. So I guess I personally could see them doing that and being like, hey, the next Call of Duty, not the next one, but the one after, is only on Xbox. But Warzone 2 or Warzone 3 or whatever it is at that point will still be able to play on PlayStation.
I could see like single player going exclusively, but I don't think I'd see the multiplayer portion of things going, because that is a cash for them as well.
It is. Yeah. Not as big as it used to be, but it's still big.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we'll find out, huh?
We will find out.
I'm still waiting to hear if the Modern Warfare 2 is going to be on Game Pass or not, because they keep hinting at it, but like I kind of need to know, right? It's coming up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like sometime in March they decide to announce like, okay, it's free now or something like
Maybe.
that.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be bundled in
copy
until later. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, could be. But that's all I had.
All right.
Well, we did have the Disney Marvel event on Friday. I have some feelings about it. On one side with the Disney event, it was like a 22 to 25 minute event, nothing crazy. There was a nice enthusiastic gentleman with a little bit of swag who was doing the announcing for it. And on the Disney side, I wasn't really as excited. You know, they kind of brought some hype to some of the games. Like Craig, you mentioned that earlier too, that there wasn't really a Disney hype.
Yeah.
Midnight Suns getting a December 2nd release date. Nice. I mean, that was going to be like the whole month of December was supposed to be my Callisto Protocol time. So right. I didn't want something like that. It'll still be, but I thought that was just kind of like an interesting place to land it. You know, I mean, it was originally supposed to be released like next month, like early next month.
Yeah.
Some of the deep dive of the characters you had to play was kind of exciting just in how they delivered it, but it wasn't something that really just blew me away, which is mainly how the event was. There was some Avatar news on a new game here. I have strong feelings about how Avatar has not ridden the wings of hype, just how the franchise is not. I don't care about Avatar anymore. I didn't care about Avatar in 2015.
Really?
And that was some years ago. I mean, the movie came out in 2010 or something like that, 2009 or 10. I had plenty of time to get over that hype. If we had anything that was of substance, or at least as substantial as that particular movie, maybe I'd be a little bit more excited for it. But the gameplay looked fine. I wanted that. I'll tell you what I honestly wanted. I wanted more Wolverine, and I wanted more Suicide Squad is what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get it. So now that I'm saying that out loud, you know, definitely pass judgments as you shall, because I was watching just specifically wanting two major things in particular. But it was a small event, but it wasn't impactful for me. Craig, I know that you might have some thoughts on it. I'm not sure how you feel about it.
Do you think that the hype is going to be there for the next Avatar movie like it was the first time? Because I'm kind of in the same boat as you, as like it's been such a long time. Like I enjoyed that first movie when it came out. I thought it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But like it's been like what, 12 years, right?
Yes.
Since it came out. Like, are people still going to care? I know it's coming out in December, holiday movie. But not as many people are going to the movie theaters anymore. They're being more selective. No. I just don't think it's going to have the same hype. And I know they said they started filming Avatar 4 already. I'm just like, do people really want 3 more Avatar movies? I don't know that I do.
Yeah, I don't know. This whole cluster of this activity should have been a decade ago.
Yeah.
And here's a fun fact that I'm not going to look up immediately right now, but how many times has the records of Avatar been shattered by something Marvel related in that time frame?
Quite a bit.
How many times did they get lapped by Marvel? Which is a side note that I was just thinking about now, but it's too late.
Yeah.
People will play it because there'll probably be enough put into it monetarily that it will look good,
Right.
but I'm not hyped for it. Barry, how do you feel?
I can say I don't really care for the game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Uh, when it comes to the movie, though, like I'll admit I am excited to watch it. I do remember like the kind of fantastical like nature that Avatar was really like spurred up a lot of my imagination that I use today as a 28-year-old adult. And I really think that yeah, while this should have been done years ago, like we should have had an Avatar 2 at max 7 years or 5 years after the first one.
Yep.
They have kind of a crazy director in James Cameron. So this kind of movie, like he wanted to film two and three back to back because there's so much CGI in these movies that like it takes computers and teams of computers in order to do this stuff that he wants. So I just want to see how much, like, now that we've had 12 years, how does that pay off? Like, how does it pay off for someone like me who, like, yeah, my mom, for whatever reason, she's super excited. She loved Avatar, the first movie. I guess I'm, like, excited for it, but in the way that I am skeptical of, I want to see what is this product? What is it? What is its final turnout? What does it become? And is it worth it? That's the kind of, that's the reason I'm excited for it, just to see what it turns out to end up being.
Yeah. I mean, when that movie came out, it was like, as far as CGI, that was like the benchmark, right?
Yeah.
You're like, this is how
Yeah,
good a
no, that
CGI
was
movie can
yep.
look. So I think it's fair to expect that this one coming out in December should do that again, right? Because that's all James Cameron says is like he wants to, every time he comes with a movie, he wants to raise the bar. He did that with Titanic way back in the
He
day.
did.
But
Yeah.
so, I mean, I expect it to look beautiful. I expect the story to be adequate, if not overly long, because that's what he always does. 3 hour, 3.5 hour movies. I expect the game to be a Horizon Zero Dawn ripoff. That's like all
Yeah.
I expect out of that game at like the most. I don't expect it to be good at all, but
And
we
like
may be wrong.
yeah, and like one thing I do want to say is you mentioned it like being a Horizon ripoff. Like, how do you get more pretty than what like
Yeah.
Forbidden West looks like? Because to be honest, like that's
Yeah.
still kind of the benchmark for me
Mhm.
for kind
That's
of
a
like,
bar.
best graphical game so far this year. Probably
That's definitely
Horizon.
a bar. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's probably right. Trying to think if any other games got close. Probably not.
I don't think anything got close to what that does.
so far, there's still time for it to be beaten.
Yeah,
But
Callisto.
By Callisto Protocol, maybe?
Or Scorn.
Or Scorn.
two mentions.
Uh,
I
there was one small thing I did want to throw at you guys though. One thing that I was excited from it is the hint and possibility, not possibility, but hint at a Black Panther and Captain America game.
Yeah.
So again, Disney side I was not hyped. They basically showed like a Disney version of Mario Kart and a couple of other things, and I was
That
like,
game's great though, by the way.
yeah, well,
there you go.
Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah, but that was nice to see, kind of like a hint at a Black Panther and a Captain America game.
it was a very short teaser, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what that game is. Is it like a brawler? I don't even know, but
That's all
I'm
they're
in.
capable of making. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's the like there's a chance that maybe Disney kind of saw the success, and I'm gonna go with saw as kind of a stretch, and success as a
As a
stretch of
stretch.
like what we thought of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
where if it's like that kind of game, great. I'm hoping it is because
Sure.
like I'll be completely honest, I really don't care much for the brawler type ones, just because they don't seem to require a lot of thought.
You like
To be
Bayonetta
completely,
though?
I do like Bayonetta, but Bayonetta is like this fun, not taking serious, like
But it's a brawler.
you call that game a brawler? Is
Yeah, for sure. Point
Okay,
A to
so
point B and
It,
kill enemies in between. It's a brawler.
well, it's a
okay.
Devil May Cry brawler.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I just
Okay.
didn't know what it would be called as brawler.
I guess I think of like older Marvel games that were that style, like the Wolverine games.
That's what I'm
Right.
thinking. Like the ones that
Okay.
are top down and you play as a hero and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
press the square
Spider-Man.
button to punch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
I think it's a cool idea. If it's executed well, I'll be extremely hyped up for that game. Right, Captain America and Black Panther would be awesome, but it has to
Yeah.
be done right. It can't be a Marvel Avengers game. We don't
Yeah.
want another one of those. But if they can
Sure.
make a game like Spider-Man, like the recent one, I'm in for that.
As would I.
All in as well.
All
Sweet.
right. Anything else for news, guys, or we got it? That's the news for the week.
I'm
Good
good.
news.
News for the week. Okay. Next, we'll get into games played, which I did talk a big game about being able to talk about 4 games this week.
Yeah, what'd you
I
do?
will say, as to no fault of my own, I only got 2 of them because the other
Okay.
2 are delayed in shipping. So I played Splatoon 3 this week and Last of Us Part 1.
Okay.
Okay.
I played NBA 2K23,
Which I wanted to play.
with this beautiful box. Look at that thing. That thing is beautiful.
With the goat on the front.
And I played a decent amount of Disney's Dreamlight Valley.
Okay. I'm interested to see what you have to say about that Disney game.
Same on that. I had a pretty light load because I'm pretty into Soul Hackers, and I've been talking about it for the past couple of weeks. And
Yeah, probably a top 3 game of the year.
Stop. Don't even give that look. It's not a top 3 game. I don't want to hear it. Nope. Did you beat
Scorn
it?
hasn't come out yet. I didn't. I know I
Okay.
predicted last week that I was going to. I am definitely based off of, because they don't hide it, based off of how the game is. I'm in the final area.
Okay.
But I haven't beaten it yet. And then I downloaded, I love that I have Steam now. I downloaded the Solstice trailer, which is a game that's coming out on the 20th to see if I would like it. And I have very, very small thoughts about it. I don't know. I don't have that as big of a workload. Do you want me to just throw these out real quick so you guys can get into the meat? Because I'm actually more curious for what you guys have played than in me talking about what I have, because Soul Hackers is not like a new game that I played. But Solstice, real quick, new game coming out the 20th. It is a Devil May Cry wannabe. It is.
I've had my eye on this for a bit.
So did I, and I was really excited. And I downloaded it. I was playing it on my gaming laptop, and not impressed so far. I know it's just a demo. The visuals could be better. So what enticed me about the game is probably what enticed at least you, Craig, about the game. It's seemingly 2 sisters. The one sister, the physical sister, is a chimera, as they're called, and then her sister is literally attached to her in a spirit form, and you're supposed to utilize both of them within combat. Now, the spirit form does things like certain enemies are not visible to you until she opens up a specific ranged move that allows you to be able to hit them. Well, they might be visible but not able to be hit. The story was, I get it, it's a demo, and I really try to take demos with a grain of salt, but I was not in whatever story they were trying to create. The sisters had an okay banter back and forth as you were fighting enemies. The controls did work when fighting with both sisters, because you basically were using, because I was using an Xbox controller on my gaming laptop, and you basically use the left trigger to control the one sister, like the spectral sister, while you basically use the X and the Y to control the heavy and light attacks of the other sister. So seamlessly, a standard gamer will be able to do both. That was fine. I just feel like it got 40% towards what even some of the successful abilities, like when you finish a battle in the game, it rates you, just like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. It's more than a spiritual. It's almost like a carbon copy, but I wasn't excited from what I played. I was excited from the trailer that I watched, and I think I was going to buy the game without thinking. But I was like, let me download the trailer. This is why Steam is good, because you can get these kind of things out there. And I'm not going to recommend it for you two gentlemen, which Craig, just heard you express interest. Barry, if you're interested, I recommend maybe downloading the trailer to see, because maybe I was a little misled, but I stopped the trailer, or I stopped the demo. So how often have you stopped a demo? So,
right.
So
Is it just boring?
It is.
Okay.
It is. There's a similar system to collecting, just like in the other titles that I mentioned that did it better. There's rock stalagmite formations that you attack and you get more souls from it. There's a tree that wasn't really exciting to me, even though they kind of showed what was past what I could unlock in the demo. And the move set wasn't that exciting to me. Again, could have woken up on the wrong side of the gaming bed today before I played this, but I don't like what I saw, and I'm really disappointed. I'm probably not going to buy it.
Okay.
But that's basically Solstice. I still recommend, if you were interested, if you had your eye on the game, take a look, especially if you can download the demo. Let me know if I'm wrong. Soul Hackers 2, the only thing that I want to mention about that is, besides the fact that I'm at the end, I have to finish this quickly because I'm hitting Atlas time frame. Atlas time frame for me, besides Persona 5, and at least the games that I've played, is I have to finish this quickly because I am now in the boredom stage. There's a little bit of grinding that has to happen in mid to late game for Soul Hackers 2, where the story is not pushing you. You have to go backwards and do a couple of things and grind a little bit because they drop weird difficulty spikes, at least in my eyes. And why do you think I played the Solstice demo? You know what I'm saying? So I needed something different, and I have to beat Soul Hackers 2 tomorrow or the next day, or it will be yet another game on the list of games that I've gotten between 70 and 95% before stopping. That's all I have to say.
So it's just it's not hitting the ending for you then. It's not sticking the landing.
So the characters are still fine. The characters are great. I fast forward certain conversations, but it's more like side quest collecting. So it's not like major parts.
Okay.
I still love the soundtrack. I want that soundtrack in my home right now. I think it's A to B, start to finish, a great, fantastic Atlas specific soundtrack. But there is a couple of twists that keep you on your toes, but there is some backtracking that you might have to do, or medium. What's like the middle of backtracking and proceeding with the game, whatever that is. Just doing the same thing, grinding, just doing the same thing over again. And there's not enough. The last thing I'll say is, because Atlas does use similar demons every single time with little variations in how they create them artistically, that's what's getting me too. I'm hitting the same part where in SMT, these demons were released at level 50, just like these demons were released at level 50 again. Satan's always at level 90 or 100 or a DLC. And then you have like the next tier down. Like, I know when I'm going to get the next or the next grouping of demons, because every Atlas game between the level of 10 and 20, you meet these guys and gals, and then to 20 and 30, these guys and gals. So that's not helping my level of boredom. That's the only thing I have to say. Now, is it game of the year? I'm going to say no. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said yes. Is it a fantastic game and a good installment? I'm going to say
no. You heard it here first. You said no.
It's good. It's a good game. Is it worth it? Here, I'll backtrack. Is it worth this backtrack? Is it worth the $60? Yes.
Sure.
It is. It is worth $60. Hands down. It's going to be a 60-hour game. That's where I'm at about. And if I didn't have to grind as much as I did, I would have done in 55, but I'm almost at 60. That's it. I want to get to your guys' games. Talking about Soul Hackers 2 is making me more bored. because I've been playing it so much. Go ahead.
Barry, I really want to know if you think different on Last of Us.
Yeah. So Last of Us Part 1 for me is I am enjoying it. I to be honest, I've kind of forgotten so much of the story. I'm actually really surprised with how much I'm like, "Oh, I totally forget that there's another girl with Joel in the beginning of the game."
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
Tess.
It's
Right.
different for me because I haven't played it since PS3, but like I definitely don't remember a single thing. Not
That's
I
good
remember
though.
I
That is
remember
good.
the ending. Of course, I
Mhm.
remember the ending of The Last
I
of Us
mean,
Giraffes.
1. Yes, giraffes. And I remember the giraffe scene as well.
Yep.
But
That's the ending. Giraffes.
yeah, but that's where I'm at right now is I am definitely like having fun with the game. It's still
Sure.
like I don't feel like it's dated by its story. I don't feel like the gameplay or anything like that feels dated. I truly believe that this is just a fun game. Uh I'm I'm spoiled and lucky in the fact that I haven't played it since PS3 because I can definitely see where like if you played the remastered on PS4, you're probably like, okay, I've retreaded this now for the third or
Third
fourth
time.
time,
Yep.
uh, and this
Mhm.
story is kind of boring. But for me, no, I'm having tons of fun with it. I think the game looks great. Uh, I'm playing like me personally. I'll see how long it takes me to switch the difficulty, but I'm currently playing on hard, and I'm playing like the chapter permadeath.
Oh yeah.
Which so
Oh.
like I'm enjoying these little features that they've added to it. The permadeath thing is a cool thing. I'm only doing chapters because I'm not crazy.
Right.
Uh, but it's passably fun. I am like sometimes like just genuinely getting lost in especially in the early game where they like want me to go somewhere and I'm trying to like figure out okay, well where am I supposed to go? Like there's no marker really telling you where to go in this game, which I just
Mhm.
feel like I feel like if I just pressed R3 or something like that, it should just give me a little dot that just says just go this way, you idiot.
Yep. Yep.
Stop trying to
Exactly like that.
stop getting lost in everything else. So, like overall, so far, I'm really happy with the game. I need to get to some of the bigger set pieces before I really like pass my judgment on it. But so far, I've been really interested in it. I haven't gotten to play, to be honest, as much of any of the games that I talk about this week as I've wanted to, just because of like personal. I've worked more, and Saturday was a home football game, hence why like I have an extra bed in my own room. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot just going on for me right now, and I didn't get to play as much of The Last of Us and Splatoon 3 as I wanted, but enough to serve passable judgments on both.
It's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I do you still think do you agree with me that Last of Us Part 2 looks better?
I do still
Okay.
think Last of Us 2 looks better, and a part of me is while I'm playing this, a part of me is like I just want to go back to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay.
Cuz it's
like
better.
well yeah, like the story it just hit for me on so much. Like there's this
Mhm.
one portion of the game and there are these portions of the game in The Last of Us 1 where like the enemy gives up and you've got a choice of kind of killing them or not. And
Yep.
every time it happens, all I can think about is Ellie in that hospital scene. Where
Yeah.
like it's like press square to be, beat the living crap
Yep.
out of people. So like, and I just keep thinking about that because The Last of Us Two's like story was like this kind of in recent memory. It's probably the one that I've thought about the most because of what the story does, and it's fantastically done. Like Last of Us Two will be a staple in my probably all time top 10 type games. With The Last of Us 1 though, while playing it I need to I need to see if that story brings up like that kind of stuff again. I don't think it will because Last of Us 1 I think played it safer with its story and characters. With The Last of Us 2 took like chances and did some cool things with the storytelling that one didn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one did a good job of Joel and Ellie's relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because he starts with he hates her, and then
Over
kind of
time.
blames her for Tess's death a little bit. I when I was playing through it again, I was like, man, I forgot how unnecessarily long the beginning of Last of Us Part 1 is. I'm not talking about like that intro. I'm talking about like the part with Tess when you're like going to get your guns back and you're
Yeah.
just
Oh
like
yeah,
kind of
the
walking.
walk through. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I was like, you know what? They had that in part 2 as well, right? That first like
Yep.
civilization where you're kind of walking around and then you go to the dance, you know. But I was like, yeah, I don't know, that part I forgot that kind of annoyed me. But it after that, I think it definitely picks up.
Yeah.
I still think this part 2 is miles better, but I think part 1 is also deserves to be in a conversation of top games of all time. I think they both
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it brought a different level to the game, like how with certain characters dying or certain plot twists and stuff like that. It was the equivalent of The Walking Dead for and how people felt about that.
Yeah.
You know, and the first one, I don't think we're spoiling anything here. Did you get to the brothers yet, Barry?
No.
Because I know you remember at least about the game itself. Okay, so the
No.
brothers, for example, the two brothers that you meet,
Yeah.
just Ellie in general. If Ellie stepped on a twig, you know, you want to make sure that she's okay. You know, that's how I felt about Ellie the whole game, and nothing really made me feel like that. At least in the 2010 to 2015 area in terms of
Yeah.
games. I mean, if I really thought about it, maybe there was a game. But what I liked about Last of Us Part 2 is what they saw what they were able to do to an audience with the first one that helped them take the risks with the story that they did in 2. Like I'll never forget first hour, you know, or first 2 hours, depending on I forget the exact time frame, but Joel, you know,
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
and when that happened, it made me feel how 1 made me feel. Hospital scene. It made me feel anytime Joel and Ellie were fighting, and I was like, "Come on, guys, we're a family," you know. Like, just
Yep.
we're the last of us, guys. Look at we've made it so far. You know, it was like it
I
was
can't believe
how
you just worked that in there too.
yeah,
Just did we're the last of us, and then continues to
it's
talk about it like no
it is
so nonchalantly.
it's like how Frodo and Samwise Gamgee were.
Yeah.
We like these I have to travel long distances for a greater good than myself journey. I'm not agreeing with the person necessarily, or maybe even I'm partly friends with, but we go over obstacle together type of things. And that's Last of Us Part 1. At that point, it was just The Last of Us, nailed it. And then Part 2, they looked at it and they were like, here's what we can do. And that's why I think the story and some of the risk or some of the things that they took place, because like it wasn't well received that you were basically playing as the person who killed Joel. You know, there was mixed feelings on that.
Yeah.
I didn't mind,
Mm-mm.
but there was definitely mixed feelings on that. But it's interesting that both of you have said though that while you're playing the first one, you've had thoughts like, "Oh, I just kind of want to play the second one," or "The second one definitely looks better," that type of thing. Because you brought up a good argument or a good point, more so last week, Craig, in that when we were kind of talking about it, which is just like, well, why couldn't they, if we're going to re-release it, if we're going to do all of these things to it, if we're going to doctor it up, if we're going to offer it with DLC that makes it easier, and we're going to offer all these small things that Barry, you have commented about that you liked about it, why can't we make it look more
Yeah.
like this, like the newest and latest and greatest? So
Yeah. I don't know. You don't get part 2 without how good part 1 was. So I don't
Yeah.
want to like put down part 1.
Yeah.
But I
oh no,
agree with you. Like this, I just thought personally that game should look as good, if not better, than part 2. And I just don't think it does. It looks pretty
things they
though.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah, there are pretty scenes.
Hmm. What else?
Next for me is I'll go ahead and jump into Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 is a really fun shooter on Switch. Like you don't get the Call of Duties on Switch, you don't get Battlefield or any of those like other types of shooters on Switch. So the Splatoon, I believe, is like kind of a build on what Splatoon 2 did. There's a lot more guns to use. There's more battle modes this time, a built-in story mode, which is for much better for the game series. The story mode I'm having a lot more fun with just because I don't usually want to just play multiplayer all the time. Like Titanfall made that mistake, and then Titanfall 2 came out and became one of the best. Sorry, multiplayer. Sorry, that game Titanfall 2
Yep.
is still a really god tier
It's so
game.
good.
Very
In
good.
my
So
Yep.
good.
that multiplayer and story mode is something that I have a feeling will almost never be touched again for me.
Yep.
But
So good.
Splatoon 2 does a good way of itching that kind of scratch there. Like the character customization, yes, is very small. I like the couple of things that I'm not the biggest fan of is I wish there was a bit more customization of what you could do with your weapons and ultimates because each gun has kind of its own, I want to say, shooting style, whether it's short range, narrow, long range, wide, or it's like short and wide, short and powerful but weaker. Like there's a whole bunch of like guns and everything like that, but each of these guns are tied to their own special, and it's not something you can change, at least not yet for me. So I'm like I think level 10 in it,
Okay.
which so I've played a decent amount of hours into the game, and like you start off with the splat shot, and the ultimate's kind of this shield thing that protects you from other people's fire. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
great, but then you start to get these other weapons like the dual splatties that have another ult. Let's say I like the splat shot, but I like the dual splatties ult better. I can't just switch them. Yeah, I know.
The
It's
dual
weird. It's weird.
splatties.
Yeah.
I think it's how you say it in particular, Barry. It might
Mhm.
be go ahead,
He's,
go with the
he's,
dual,
he's rocking those dual splatties.
the dual splatties.
And because of that, I find that the multiplayer can be a little bit limiting in a way that I don't like. I really wish I could just customize like, okay, I like the splat shot, but I don't like this shield one. I want something that's more offensive. So you end up having to learn the dual splatties because you have to figure them out. Like if you want that ult, you have to learn the gun as well. And there are of course so
Mhm.
many other guns as well that you get to go with. There's like the paintbrush, which is fun, a really fun melee weapon. Like the arrow shot or splat arrow or something like that, I think is what it's called. There's a lot of splat in all of the gun names. So
I would assume.
yeah. So yeah, like in that portion of things, I like it. And then on top of that too, they really try to do a different like way of customizing again where you have shoes that add different attributes, headgear that adds different attributes, and like your shirt that does like something different, whether it's one offers your speed as like a squid form to be increased, but the other increases the damage or the amount of damage you can take in. So there's a lot of strategy in it, which I believe does a decent amount of different play styles. I just don't feel like it does a lot. Like you can definitely notice the difference, but I'm not seeing crazy builds that make somebody go like, "Wow, I want to build like theirs." I
Mhm.
want something that makes me incredibly fast so I can swim in my own paint and then get behind the enemy, shoot them, and then just go back into my hidey hole and swim away, kind of thing. Like I'm not seeing that type of play style. All I still see is just everybody just swimming around. You just come up to shoot, swim back in, paint the area, kind of thing. There are more game modes as well, which I've enjoyed. And actually, one of my favorite ones is this Anarchy mode, where it's against three different color teams, like it's red, blue, and yellow. But one team has four people, which is usually red, and then there's two blue and two yellow. I thought it would be really unfair, and all it is a turf war. So whoever covers the most area wins, because you would think the team that has four is at a greater advantage than the two. But because the teams of two start out at the edge of the map and the team of four starts out in the center, you have like pretty much 2v2 battles for the most part. Because if red starts to send a third person over to blue, then yellow only has to face one person and they can start getting map control. I'm really impressed with how much like a lot of these games, like it's usually one team versus another, and I like having like this kind of like 1v1, 1v1 scenario where it the team of 4 has to strategize big time. Like, okay, how are we going to take the areas from blue and yellow while also defending our own, and how do we make sure yellow or blue doesn't go too far in, and like switching it up like that. I actually think it's one of the better modes that the game has put out in recent years, and I'm just really enjoying it a lot more. And I think for a lot of people, like Splatoon 3 isn't this phenomenal jump that I think people wanted, but it's definitely a jump in the good direction for it. A part of me worries that, like, where do you take it from here? I guess is when does the dual splatties and the splat shot junior just become boring, and the whole octopus squid theme like becomes
Yeah.
something that isn't fun, because for a lot of people, yeah, it's a nice first person shooter, but you're probably going to go to Apex or
Yeah.
Call of Duty before playing Splatoon. So it's just kind of, you have Splatoon's in this weird area where if you're only a Switch owner and you're an adult who doesn't want their kid playing violent video games, Splatoon works. Splatoon fits that niche very well, and its
Yeah.
competitive scene is a lot of fun. But there's a reason they discontinued support for Splatoon 2, because people just stopped playing it. And when does Splatoon 3 start to suffer from the same as well?
That's always been my problem with every Splatoon game is I play it when it comes out. I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then like not even a week later, I'm like, I'm done. I have no desire to play it
Yeah, Call
anymore.
of Duty comes out, and then we're all like, okay,
Yeah.
time for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just not enough there to keep me entertained. And I I don't know, because I don't want to like say that like Call of Duty or specifically Apex for me is like, oh man, they're constantly innovating, because it's not like they're innovating every day, but there's enough coming out. There's new characters, there's new maps, like
Yeah.
on a fairly regular basis to keep you be like, oh man, here's a new gun. Whereas Splatoon, I felt like they're like, oh well, let's have a what type of condiment do you like war? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was their answer to keep it fresh, and that's just not enough, at least for me.
No, yeah, I definitely see people's argument for there.
Mhm.
Because it's not so much about like the turf war sort of stuff for me. It's more like the game modes and the way the weapons work, like, is a bit different. Like, I don't have to worry. Like in Call of Duty, I don't have to worry about no. In Call of Duty, I have to worry about somebody with an intervention sniping me from across the map. Where in Splatoon, that's not really something you run into.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a lot more arcadey. It's a lot more fun. I also just like how quick the games are. Like, the games are very quick. Like, you can play a game while you're on the toilet, finish a game, and not feel bad for sitting on the toilet for 10 minutes, because the games aren't 10 minutes kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I never am upset or displeased with my time in Splatoon, because I never feel like it overstays my welcome, because there's never a game that goes on too long. It's always like, okay, like that game took me 2 minutes. I can go ahead and play another one because the next one will only take me 2 or 3 minutes as well. So because the games are so vast, you can play a lot and not feel burned out.
Yeah, that's
Got it.
fair. That's how I feel about Rocket League. That's why I still play Rocket League. So I'm like, oh, the
Yeah.
game's only 5 minutes.
That-
So
yeah,
like that's always my go-to when I don't know what to play. I'm like, oh, I can play like 2 or 3 matches of Rocket League and be done in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. NBA 2K23. Barry, you didn't get your copy
Yeah.
yet?
No, unfortunately.
I will start by saying that this is a wonderfully done cover. Right now, this is the Michael Jordan edition. So this one is $99.99, and then it comes with 100,000 VC and some other extra stuff. But I will say that as far as it goes, like they don't give you anything. They give you a slipcover and some download codes, and that's it. That's all you get. Also, you get the PS4 version, but who wants the PS4 version if you're buying the PS5 version? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Unless I was going to like give it to somebody or something, I guess. But they have the PS4 version tied to your VC, so you couldn't even redeem it separately. So it's not like you could give the PS4 version to somebody and keep the VC, which is ridiculous. to me.
That's
is-
rough.
That is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's all one code. But the game itself, I'll start with like the Michael Jordan aspect that they did. That mode is phenomenal. You get to start
Okay.
with like it's the highlight games of his career, right? So you get to play a game, they'll give you the goals. The very first one is like his national championship game when he was at North Carolina against Georgetown. So they'll be like, you got to win the game, score 19 points, and get 9 rebounds, at least. But what makes it good is presentation wise. Um, they put like the filter that makes it look like you're watching on an old TV. The camera,
Oh,
the camera angles are the camera angles from that time. The score and everything is exactly how it was at that time, right? So this was, I think that was like 80 something, 82, I think was when that was. So it's very accurate to how it looked. And to me, that's really cool. So playing through those are very fun. I think there's like 8 or 9 different ones you play. I haven't played through all of them, but like I really think they did a wonderful job with that. And everybody likes playing as Michael Jordan because that's just it's Michael Jordan. I think it's like the second or third time he's been on the cover, right? I remember him in like 2K10 or something like that. But anyway, and then my player, I'll go into that because franchise mode is franchise mode. My team, I don't really touch. I know a lot of people like my team. I am not one of them. But I did jump back into my player after taking a year off last year where I just didn't touch it at all. And I will say that I'm enjoying the story more than past stories. They don't do the college angle this year. It's just you get drafted, you pick what team you want to go to, you do the whole draft thing, and then you have your rival, which they've done before. But I will say, like, the city is overwhelmingly large to the point where, like, it took me a while to find where the courts were to
Yeah.
play. I was like,
oh,
I don't know where I'm going. Like you pull up the map and it's just this massive map and it's like, oh, here's a
Grand Theft
store, here's
Auto.
a store, here's a store,
Yeah.
here's the workout area, here's where you rec league, here's where you can go if you want to play the Jordan thing, here's somewhere over here, here's your agent's office, here's where you go to play the game. And it's just like there's so much going on. And then the quests, dear Lord, there's so many quests they bombard you with. I felt like I was playing Witcher because it's just like here's your main quest, here's your side quest, here's your daily quest, here's your season quests, all of that. It's like boom, 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 and it's like you do the intro, and then there's like 25 quests, and I'm like, oh my god, relax. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but they to me like the gameplay is smooth like it always is. They changed the shot meter, which I think is for the better because I'm hitting a lot more green shots now than I ever
Oh,
have.
I'm happy to hear about that. So,
Yeah,
okay,
Oh,
we'll have
yeah.
to
okay,
see.
So
good.
whatever it is about the new shot meter is clicking with me more so than it ever has. So I really appreciate that. And the other aspect that I really like that I wanted to mention is in your my career mode, when in the past, like when you would have a game to play, you would just hit like play next game and you would go to the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So now, in the my city is in one area is the arena, right? So whenever you have a new game to play, you'll have like different things you have to do first. So it'll be like, oh, go meet with your agent before the game. So you run over to your agent, and then it'll be like, all right, it's time for the game. Go to the game. So you run to the arena, right? And you enter. When you enter the arena, it takes you to like where you would get dropped off on the bus, right? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to run up a hallway, which is the hallway where the media is taking pictures of you. Sometimes they'll stop you. It's where you can get kind of like bonus cred if you are wearing something stylish. Basically, they're trying to incorporate that. Like NBA players when they arrive to the arena are always like
The
judged on how
swag.
they look. Right.
Yeah.
Once you get through there, you have the locker room that you get changed for the game, and then you have they make a point to tell you like, hey, reporters could stop you in the hallway. They could stop you in the locker room. There's a room over here for after the game to talk to the reporters. There's other rooms. There's rooms everywhere. Um, so it's a whole arena experience. And then when you're ready, then you'll run out to where the entrance to the arena is, and that takes you into your pregame. It's like something small that they did, but it gives you a lot more of a feeling of being an NBA player, right? It's not just like, all right, I'm going to play my next game. All right, cool. It's going to kick you to the shoot around, right? Now it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to walk in. I'm going to walk from the bus down. I'm going to go get changed. I'm going to go get stopped by a reporter and he's going to ask me a question. then I'm going to get changed. Then I'm going to go hit up shoot around, or maybe my agent stops me beforehand or something. It's like all the stuff that really goes on that they're trying to hit. And I think they do a pretty good job of it. But, you know, as good as the game has always played, the predatory stuff is still there, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still, this $100 edition gives me 100,000 VC, which takes you from, you know, when you start, you're a 60 to like an 81. So like it's a huge jump, and it makes the game a lot more enjoyable, right? Because you can actually score, you can dribble, you can pass. But if you just buy the base game and you're going in and not buying any VC, you're probably going to have a horrible time, right? You're going to
Sounds
be
like
like,
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like
yeah,
I'm gonna have a
you're
horrible
just
time.
going to be like, oh man, my player sucks. Like now I got to grind for 20 hours. They want you to obviously buy this $100 edition. That's what they want everybody, or at the very least to buy the game and then spend another $20 or $40 on VC, which I think everybody does at this point. This is like this year more than most years. I have seen the least amount of 60s running around the city. So I think everybody is just kind of bought into the fact that I'm going to buy this game for $60 and I'm going to spend another $40 in VC. That's just what I have to do, right? This game just costs you $100 to play if you really want to play it. And I mean, I guess you don't have to. You can just do franchise mode. But if you really want to get into my player, like it's still as predatory as it's ever been. I don't think it's ever going to change. And it's just a shame because I think the My Career mode this year is very good and it's a lot of fun and very in depth. But it's just very tough to get in on that base level $70 now, not 60,
Yeah.
70 to have a good time. It's gonna, Barry, in your case, if you bought the normal one, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna buy VC?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I need to see how much bonus VC I got with pre-ordering the
You
game.
get like 1,000 or 2,000 or something.
And what, I'm gonna
Not
go up
enough.
maybe a level. I'm gonna go up
You'll
maybe
be
to
like
62.
you'll be like a 61 or 62. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. I have
Yeah.
to see, because like for me it's always been about like my GM mode and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I just, and I know they did like a My Era as
Yeah.
well
Yep.
with the Kobe edition, so you can like play like classic 76ers with AI, which I
Yep.
think is which I think is really cool and fun with old logos and
Yeah.
everything like that. But I wanted to make it a thing where I got back into my story, where
Yeah.
I put in a new one and everything like that. But I have to see. I'd rather not, because like I really liked playing my park with my friends,
Mhm.
but we were all at like level 80 something after putting money into VC
Right.
in order to play, and then that's when 3-on-3 my park becomes a lot more fun,
Yep.
because you're all able to play competitively, where if you don't put that money in there, no one's going to want to play with you 3v3.
That's the
Every
thing. Like you roll into, if you just buy the game and you go into My Career, like I want to go play my park. Almost every single person, when they see a 60 is gonna walk off the court and not play with you. So
Yeah.
like your chance of getting into a game is very slim, very slim. At the minimum, you got to be at least an 80, so they know that you spent that $40, or they're just going to be like, I'm
Yeah.
not even going to play with you because I'm just going to lose. Or if they do, they're not going to pass to you, right? they're not. So yeah, it is kind of a shame that's. I just remember the good days, like early PS3 360 era, even PS4 and Xbox One, where like that wasn't the case, and you could
Yeah.
just buy the game and play the My Career and put in the time and be a 90 or a 95. That idea is long gone.
That's a
Unfortunately,
shame.
it is.
Yeah, I'm
Go
excited to
ahead.
play it, but I just
Yeah.
need to I have to wait for it.
And then Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is in early access on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you can check that out. I think you can buy it as well. I think it's like 30 or $40. I think this is the right way for somebody like me who has an affinity for Disney to get me to play an Animal Crossing like game, because I have an affinity for all the characters. I think it's done very, very well. Um, I I assume it's gonna do well, but it's hard to tell. I don't think it's been like heavily promoted, has it? Like I know it's early access, so
I
it's not
I mean, they,
officially out.
they threw something in the last Disney
Okay,
event with the
yeah,
Disney Marvel event about it,
but
but
like I think it's a extremely well done game. I'm having a
Okay.
ton of fun. Like I wasn't a huge fan of Animal Crossing, but when you're putting Disney characters in front of my face, and it's, you know, it's literally like you're dropped into a world, and you have a house, small house that you start just like Animal Crossing, and you just have to go rescue and find all these Disney characters, and also build your house, and do a little bit of like Stardew Valley, right? And build out your whole area. The idea is fun. I enjoy it as like a, right now it's kind of like whatever I'm playing at the end of the night before I go to bed, I'll put that on for like 20 minutes and just kind of do my daily stuff, just like Animal Crossing, and
Just like
then
Animal
be on
Crossing.
my way. So I would assume that there's a bazillion people who like Disney characters. So I have a feeling it's going to do extremely well. Review wise, it seems like it's been doing very well as well. I know IGN gave it like an 8. It's at a 9 on Steam. But yeah, I have been having a lot of fun with it. I'll continue to play it. It's not something that I'm going to play for like 10 hours a day, but as like a 20-30 minute thing at the end of the night, it's been perfect. It would be good on like mobile, I think, as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a plan, but like, I think that would work.
That's how Animal Crossing became for a lot of us. You know, you start out, you put like 5 or 6 hours into it,
Yeah.
but then you log in and you do your daily. You figure out certain things. I mean, there's obviously a group that did a lot more than 20 minutes a day, but
Right.
like for me, that was how Animal Crossing ended up.
Yeah.
You know, after a month or so. But it's nice to see that it's doing that well.
Yeah, I think everybody should go give it a shot, especially if you have Game Pass to go check it out. I want to say it's $30 if you don't, for like the early access. I would assume that's probably the price it's going to be when it comes out. I don't think this is like a $60 game. I wouldn't think, but there are microtransactions in there, obviously, and they don't seem extremely predatory, but I guess they could end up being that way.
It's also the one last thing that I wanted to mention is like, because you were talking about how successful it was. My wife and I had a friend, her one of our mutual friends hit her up and asked her what edition she should get.
Oh,
So like I was unaware that it's coming out with its own, like, I don't know, $60 edition. Maybe there's like a $80 and $100 edition, and I don't know what that gets you because I didn't do the research on that yet. But
yeah.
I was unaware that it was coming out in those subsequent levels of release.
Yeah, that I didn't know that either. I'm gonna have to look them up and see what they are. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine that this could end up being a game where, like, if you really get into it, you could be spending $100, $200. Sounds very familiar, Barry.
Yeah.
Apex.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not going to be dumping money into this game, but as far as like, there's enough there that you don't have to, and you can still have a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I
I'm
played.
trying. Yeah, I'm trying not to think about all the money I dumped into Apex for an heirloom. One little quick thing is last week I went ahead and they released the kind of update for the Hogwarts Legacy game where you could take the test,
Okay.
get your Patronus, and see what your wand was made out of. Did you guys do any of that yet?
I didn't even know that was a thing. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. My roommate Adam showed it to me. So you can take like you have to download an app called the Harry Potter Fan Club on your phone. It is official Harry Potter stuff. I know the name doesn't sound like it, but if you can link it to your Warner Brothers account, and then that way when you start up the game, you can get sorted into your house. You get an exclusive robe, which I think is really cool.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how much the wand or the Patronus charm thing is going to play into it, but I just think it's a cool way to get people excited for Legacy and actually get people talking about it. Because the moment I did it, I went to my friends and I was like, hey, like, because they're excited for a Harry Potter game, of course. Like, even my friends who don't game as much as I do are like, yeah, Harry Potter, I'm all for it. So then they went and took the test, and they got their houses sorted as well. So you guys should do it, and then we could talk about what house we're all in, I guess.
Definitely doing that.
100% I will. Yep.
Yeah, so essentially you just do the so it's actually kind of saving you a step in the game, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know how the quiz thing is going to go in Legacy. Like, we really haven't seen any of that yet, how the quiz is going to go. But the app itself for the quiz is very well thought out.
Okay.
What's that app called again?
It's called the Harry Potter Fan Club. I'm literally downloading it.
I'm
right
looking
now.
it up right now as you're talking. Go ahead. Harry Potter Fan Club.
It should have like a Harry Potter like lettering in white, and then there's like a purple foggy background to it. You
Got
guys
it.
are gonna
Everybody,
take your quizzes like right in front of me. I have a
here we go.
I
I got
feeling it's
it.
gonna
mean,
I
happen
got
right
it.
here.
All right. I'm
But what you
downloading it
do,
as we speak.
yeah, what you'll do is you create an account, do your test thing, do all the tests for your wand, Patronus, and your house, and then link it to your WB account. And that should take care of everything else. I'm
Can't wait
trying to
to
think.
remember that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Should I spoil which house I'm in, or should I wait till next
I
week?
mean, you
wait,
should wait, and then we can do it. We can all do it at the
and then
same
we'll
time.
talk about what houses we're in, Barry.
Yeah, come
You sound
on.
like you sound like a Slytherin,
Yeah, he
Barry.
does. He does.
Well,
You
like
conspiring.
the thing is, it's not my fault. You guys, aren't on top of everything. Sorry, I have somebody to tell me these things. I probably should have told you guys anyway, but I just
Yeah, you should have.
reminded my. Yeah, I
Yeah,
probably should have said this
Craig
earlier.
didn't Barry one day like brag about being able to speak parcel tongue at some point? I feel like
He
he
did. He did.
slipped that into the podcast
He
at
said
some
how much
point.
he liked Voldemort, and
Yeah,
could see where he was coming from.
yeah.
Understood his philosophies and
Yeah.
thought he was only trying to better the world. Yeah, that is what Voldemort was doing.
Yeah. It's like how Magneto sees the world.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Regardless, though, we'll talk about it next podcast. I'm excited
We'll
for
talk
you
about
guys
it,
to
yeah.
tell me. Yeah, because I know after the podcast, you guys are going to literally text me.
Yep.
I got in this house and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I
it'll.
got into a fifth house. I didn't even know
Yeah.
there was a fifth house.
It's like Fire Emblem 3 houses where there's a fourth house that only is
Yeah.
unlocked with DLC. So
Yeah.
that would be fun. Regardless, though, that's going to be it for games this week. Next would be movies and TV shows, which I do have to say because I was so busy this week, I didn't watch anything. I don't know about you guys.
How dare you?
I finished Hard Knocks.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
I watched 2 movies. I watched Me Time and Pinocchio.
Ah,
Yeah.
like the live action one.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And they both suck. Both movies were terrible.
I'm glad I
And the
didn't miss
story-
any good movies then.
I mean, I was never a big fan of Pinocchio as a kid. I always thought that the animated movie was boring. So maybe it wasn't aimed at me, but I don't think it was done very well. And Me Time, which is Kevin Hart. I enjoy Kevin Hart
And Mark
movies.
Wahlberg, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy Kevin Hart. I enjoy Mark Wahlberg, but this one is written so poorly and it's so
Is it?
unfunny. Oh dear Lord, is it awful? It's been a while since I've watched like a comedy movie and been like, this is bad. Like you watch comedy movies and you can watch some that aren't that great and still like chuckle. This is just bad. Like it was so bad. Like it was to the point that I kind of got the feeling that like Kevin Hart was just there for a paycheck, and I even went to check to see if he was like promoting it, and he did like one quick one. So it's like he even knew like this movie's not good. Yeah. I'm going to take my paycheck and do my whatever's required as far as promoting it and moving on. But yeah, it's if you want to watch a truly awful movie, you can try Me Time, I guess.
Okay.
What about you, other Craig? What did you watch?
So I watched Untold Story, which was the girlfriend who didn't exist, the Monte Teo story.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that with my wife. And I also watched Old. I realized how old that movie is in comparison to 2022. But
God,
I did
The M.
watch
Night
it.
Shyamalan
Holy.
movie?
I did.
Yes, I can't wait.
So just to get the Monte Teo one
Yeah.
out there, it's only a 2-parter. It's a section of a couple of untold stories that are going to be throughout the year. It was 2 1-hour sections. For me, I don't know if I paid attention well enough to how much information we got of the story itself, because I realized a lot of different things when I was watching it. I didn't realize how catfished he was. What they do in the it's a well done documentary. It's well shot. Monte himself is actually very eloquent when speaking about his feelings in specific parts of it, but I didn't realize how nice he was as an individual, to the point where everything happened in the right way for him to be catfished amazingly. like on national television in front of the entire world to see. I As I was watching it, and my wife was the same way, as we were watching it, we just got more angry at him being catfished, because when you actually look at his college career and the amounts of impact that he could have had, you actually believe by watching the things going on that this messed up his psyche and his hearts towards being the best that he was at football. It just so totally distracted him to the point and embarrassed him enough where we might have potentially like didn't like we didn't get a James Harrison or a Lawrence Taylor or a non secondary Ronnie Lott or a junior Seau. It looks like we didn't get a defensive player, and his career could have been a lot better for him if this situation didn't happen to him. And it was kind of embarrassing to watch him go through it. He had a very dedicated family to him throughout the entire process. I suggest you watch it. You may have the same idea or the same feeling that I do about it. I'm not mad necessarily at who catfished him. I'm just mad that that particular individual's career got stifled the way it did. Until seeing that documentary, I wasn't actually aware of how stumped he was at the scenario. I mean, this guy's got all of these events coming. He's a ridiculous football player, highly recruited. He decides to go to the Fighting Irish against like what many people thought he would do because he was thinking USC and such like that. And they do a good job in 2 hours of showing how the mighty have fallen in this scenario before even catfishing was a household term. Only 2 hours out of your day. There's other stories coming in the actual series. I believe it is Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Netflix. And it's the Untold Umbrella series, but it's specifically the girlfriend that didn't exist. Spoiler alert, she didn't exist. Her image did, but she didn't. Old.
So, come on.
M. Night. It's M. Night, man.
No, stop being
M.
nice.
Night.
Don't be
It's
nice.
your boy M Night here.
Stop being nice.
So here's what I'm going to say about Old. I think that the end 5 minutes concept that you find out as to why an island is there and why this group of people end up on an island that rapidly ages them, it was cool. There was a 5-minute section. I got done watching the movie. I went to my wife and I was like, here's what I think is cool about it. It's 5 minutes.
And it is. Go ahead. What's the reason?
The reason is it's a pharmaceutical company that finds an island that essentially rapidly ages you. And Barry, I don't know, have you seen it? Do you care?
No, what makes you think I'd watch this movie?
Go ahead.
So for profit, this pharmaceutical company brings humans they invite humans through this wonderful resort that they create, bring people out so they can continuously do tests to solve the major medical issues of humanity without regard to the deaths that happen. I thought when that was revealed at the end that I thought that was okay, like to cool. I was like, okay, that's the M. Night part where he like really intelligently thought of something different again. But the entire movie was just it was artsy, but it was not enough for me, man. It was not good to me.
So
there was a section where they all get to the island. They all are driven there by somebody from the resort who is M. Night.
Mm-hmm.
He stars in that one as well. They get left there, and then they all slowly figure out, sometimes some of them too slowly for their own good, figure out that they're rapidly aging on this island. And I don't have many nice things to say, except that there was a reconciling moment between the two, the husband and wife, that was like really kind of nice again towards the end. But they got there, they all realized they were getting old fast, and then 9 people died in like 20 minutes of various reasons. It's not like, I watched it out of intrigue. I was like, it is M. Night. I still think M. Night can create Village or Signs. I still think he can do that, guys.
No, he's lost it.
And I
He's
hate
lost that
myself.
privilege.
I'm so mad.
He's done so many bad movies at this point. He's lost that privilege.
He had such a run.
He did.
He's like, in any sport game, and any sport that you like, that person that comes out of college has the great first season. For me, I'm a Giants fan, so it's the Saquon Barkley until recently he got healthy again. He comes out, he does this like great opening stance, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what happened? And that's how I feel M. Night's career has been for me. And I hope he doesn't come after me for this. I don't know if he listens to this podcast. I'm sure he has other things to do with his time, but it would be nice if somebody of his stature did that. But like, Craig, I don't know. What do you think?
Here, I said this before, and now that you've seen it, I can bring it up to you. What do you think it is about M. Night Shyamalan, the way he writes his movies and the way he directs his movies, that makes everybody who's in his movies completely forget how to act? Because Old has some of the worst acting I've seen in a long time. And I watched that movie and I was like, I can't figure out if it is the way the lines are written or if it's the way that he's directing them, but just the way they deliver the lines are so awkward and weird. It's just, I don't understand. And the fact that he, in his mind, thought, I want to put a character in this movie as a rapper, and I'm gonna title his rapper name as Midsize Sedan.
Midsize Sedan.
What is wrong with him? Does he surround himself with yes men? Is that what happens when he's like, what about Midsize Sedan? And they're like, yeah, that's perfect. You know what?
That's believable. Rapper
Roll
name.
with it. Midsize Sedan.
Yeah. Barry, I can see your face. That's his name in the.
That's his name in the movie. Midsize Sedan.
Midsize Sedan is the general.
I have a hard time like believing that, but also
he's credited as Midsize Sedan in the credits.
I listened to an interview with like George Niang from the Sixers, and apparently his time on other teams he was also called like the Midsize Sedan, or something like that. So part of me is like, did he listen to this interview?
He's a diehard Sixers fan, and he's from Philadelphia, so that could have factored into it. But this was written before. Niang was in Philly. Yes, okay. But like there is, I'm not going to say giant movie stars in this movie. There are established actors and actresses in this movie who, for whatever reason, when I'm watching it, look like they've never acted before. I don't understand what it is about M. Night Shyamalan and his movies. And like Mark Wahlberg's another one in The Happening. Like it's just, it has to be the way he's directing them. I don't get it.
Craig, you know what it is? They probably nail it the way most of us would have liked to see it on the first and second take, but M. Night makes them do more takes so that he could see it as he wants it.
Right.
So by the 7th take, it looks great to M. Night.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't look good like outside of what his frame of mind is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's got to be the way he directs it.
And I'll say this, Barry, for you, like, I don't recommend this movie to anybody, but like, if you wanted to get an idea of like what I'm trying to get across, you just have to watch like the first 10 minutes and you'll understand. Like when they first get to the resort, or no, even when they're in the car on the way to the resort, them talking in the car is so painful. It reminded me of watching The Room. Like to me, that's how bad it was. I'm just like, this is awful.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so bad? I don't understand. I enjoy Signs. I enjoyed The Village. Lady in the Water's okay. But I don't know.
His first 3 or 4 were great. They were what made his name.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't give him any good faith anymore. it's gone.
He's getting old.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Why do I allow this stuff on the podcast, Craig? Why do I allow it?
I don't know. I was trying to think of, is it like is it a scorn on the movie community?
Is it a score? Yes. There it is.
And with that being said, it's time for the end of the podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening this week. If you liked it, please make sure to share it and review it. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Please make sure to review it on your podcast listening platform of choice. It helps us get recommended. If you're interested, you can follow us on Twitter. I've done a really bad job of Twitter lately. Going to be up front there. Instagram and Twitch. If I ever decide to Twitch again, maybe Temtem. I don't know what makes me want to do Temtem, but we'll see. But regardless, next week I should have Temtem and NBA, and then hopefully I'll be caught up. And then I'm hoping to actually watch stuff this week now that
Yeah.
I actually might have time to myself. So we'll see what happens. But I want to thank again everybody for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.
Bye.
See you later.